literature, you must find some elements that are common on every novel or poem or play you read or write. The first, you would have a title. The title of the literary work is the shortest summary of the whole novel or story. It's the first thing you read, and it's the first thing that gives you the gist of what you are about to read. Second, you have the author. The author is the writer of the book or the story or the play. Third, we have the illustrator. Sometimes when you're reading a book or a novel, you find some drawings or pictures within the text. Under such illustrations, you may find an inscription saying that these drawings have been drawn by a certain artist, or maybe the author himself or herself, or maybe a character within the story. Number four, we have the narrator. The narrator is the one who narrates the story. The narrator could be either internal, so he or she is a character from the story, or an external narrator, which means that the narrator is someone telling the story, and he's not or she's not a part of the story. He's an external narrator. Next, we have the characters, of course. Characters are defined into two categories. The first is the main character, and the second is the minor, or main and secondary. The main character, like for example, if we're reading Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, the main character is of course Harry. He's called the protagonist, and the minor or secondary characters some of them could be the protagonist. Such characters can also be either static or dynamic. A static character is one that does not change in morals or personality, which means a good person stays good till the end of the story, or a bad person stays bad till the end of the story. That's a static character. However, dynamic characters, they change in personality. So maybe at the beginning of the story, someone is bad, then he turns good at the end, or vice versa. Someone is bad and turns good, or good and turns bad till the end. So he changes in personality. Next, we have the characterization, or the personality of the characters, or what kind of person is that character. You may be asked that question when you're reading or analyzing a text. You may be asked, what kind of person is that character? We get a sense of the personality of the characters from the three elements, the following elements. The first, we get a sense from their actions during the course of action, or along the story or novel. Also from their thoughts, whether they have good thoughts, evil thoughts, and from their quotations. Next, let's talk about the setting. What's a setting? The setting is the when and where of the events of the story or novel or a play. It's the when and where. So, first we have the time when the action is happening, in which year, which age, era, back then, medieval age, modern day, season, summer, winter, okay, time of day also, whether it's in the morning, or in the evening. The place, whether the action, for example, the actions of most of the actions of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter take place in Hogwarts, which is the magic school of magic. Also, the weather, The weather conditions are included in the setting, and the atmosphere. And here I'm talking about the feeling or emotions or the mood an author creates in a narrative through descriptive language. So when someone enters the room and find the husband and wife having a quarrel or having a fight, so each of them is angry and is mad, and none of them is speaking to each other. So we get a sense or a vibe of hostility. This is the atmosphere of the place. Remember that when you're reading or writing, and especially writing, that you should define a certain point of view and stick to it. You decide whether you're gonna position the narrator as an insider or an outsider. You can have an insider narrator, which means that you're gonna use first person pronouns such as I and we, or you can have an outsider narrator, then you should use third person plural such as he or she, it and they. Moreover, now let's talk about the theme. So what's the theme? The theme is the main idea or underlying message or the moral lesson we learn from the novel. Also, we have something called the symbol. The symbol is an important object, idea, or word used within the text. Next, when you're writing, remember that each plot or in the plot, remember to include the main 5 steps. Every plot starts with an introduction, then a rising action, then climax or the peak, then falling action, and eventually conclusion. Also, there are certain types of conflicts. When you're writing your plot, you would add a certain type of conflict or maybe more. For example, we have a person against a person or a person against another. So maybe in Aladdin, in the Aladdin movie, we have a person against another conflict between Aladdin and his uncle Jafar, or the prince's uncle Jafar. Second, we have a person against nature. In the renowned movie Titanic by Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet, we have the sailors and the survivors of the ship having a conflict against nature, which is the ocean. In another example, we could have some sailors in the sea where there is a huge storm, so they're having a conflict between humans, which is a person, this is the person type, and the sea, which is the nature. We can also have a creature, maybe an aquatic creature, or maybe a sea creature, maybe a shark or something, or any monster. This would create a conflict between a person and nature. A person and a creature. All of these are called internal versus external conflict. Four, we can also have a person against an idea. This is an internal conflict. For example, the author or the main character is having a dilemma whether to accept a bribe or not. He truly needs the money to pay his debts. However, he does not want to accept such corrupt money. So this is a conflict between his moral values. Thank you, class.